Hello, respected viewers. So this video is commenting on Edwin Poots' election as leader of the Democratic Unionist Party. So Poots seemed to be rather inept and just the sort of image that unionism should not be projecting. He's a throwback to a generation ago. So not the things that because they're old are necessarily bad, and modern things aren't automatically good. But in this case, I think a retrograde step is definitely a step in the wrong direction. So the Democratic Unionist Party, you should know, is the largest party in Northern Ireland, and being a unionist in the UK means that you want to keep the United Kingdom together. You would like Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland and England to be united. And that's the raison d'etre of the Democratic Unionist Party, the DUP. So it was founded in 1970 by the late Reverend Dr. Ian Paisley, who died, if memory serves, in 2013. So the party is open to all. However, certainly until recently in practice, its members were all Protestants, because Reverend Paisley, he was the founder of the Free Presbyterian Church, moderator in his own church, and leader of that party for nigh on 40 years. Now, Mr. Poots has come along. So Poots is from Lisbon, County Antrim. He comes from a farming family, and in his inaugural address as leader of the DUP, he observed that his father was a founding member of the DUP. So for decades, the Ulster Unionist Party was the major unionist party in Northern Ireland. Well, from the Ulster Unionist Party's foundation about 1905, prior to that being really a subsection of the Conservative Party, to this day. And the Ulster Unionist Party governed Northern Ireland, produced the Prime Minister of Northern Ireland, and indeed the First Minister of Northern Ireland, the very first one, David Trimble. So after that, the DUP took over under Peter Robinson. He lasted a few years. He stepped aside and handed over to Arlene Foster, who's just been pushed out by her party for several reasons. And she's been leader there for, I'm trying to think, about 8 years. Anyway, so she's also the first woman to be First Minister of Northern Ireland. So Poots is now presumably going to be First Minister of Northern Ireland. He's been in the Legislative Assembly for years now, about 20 years. MLA, Member of the Legislative Assembly. So the deal is that the largest single party provides the First Minister of Northern Ireland, that's the DUP. The second biggest party provides the Deputy First Minister, and that's Sinn Fein. So you go back over 20 years, and these two parties were deadly enemies. And when I say deadly, that's no metaphor, because, of course, Sinn Fein was a branch of the IRA, was sort of the IRA with the balaclava off. So they were constantly acting as vindicators of IRA crimes. The DUP were obviously denouncing them. And the DUP were often seen as anti-Catholic. So Poots, I'm not aware that he's ever been anti-Catholic, but he's a evangelical Christian of the Protestant denomination. His fundamentalist views, well, he was quite anti-gay. He was against gay people donating blood. Now, is there a good scientific ground for saying that? I mean, perhaps there is, but homosexual men are allowed to donate blood in the rest of the United Kingdom. And this was the curious thing. Despite being a unionist, he always wanted Northern Ireland to do things differently from the rest of the UK, when he thought the major portion of the UK had gone far too liberal. But, well, one of the things is devolution, is the United Kingdom did not insist on uniformity. Right, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland and England could decide things severally, certainly since devolution in 1999. But if you go back to prior to 1972, when the Parliament of Northern Ireland existed, Stormont could make decisions and do things differently from Great Britain on certain issues. So Edwin Poots, he's in accord with the Catholic Church on abortion, and here's the rich irony, the way the two major parties have swapped sides. Sinn Fein, whose members are almost exclusively Catholic, said that is now pro-abortion, and the Democratic Unionist Party actually supports the Catholic Church on this issue. And then there's the matter of evolution. So Edwin Poots is a young Earth creationist. So he's not really very forward-looking, and he's almost like like a caricature of what a unionist politician would be, and I don't think many of them are like him anymore. So 50 years ago, he might have been par for the course. And then he was ludicrous enough to even say that COVID was 6 times higher in nationalist areas. I don't know of any datum that supports that. So it doesn't appear to be an empiricist. Now, why? Why would it be so much higher in nationalist areas? And like, how does he know? The Department of Health in Northern Ireland said, well, we don't know. I mean, they don't know it to be false, but they said they do not collate data on the basis of a political identity. And a nationalist in Northern Ireland is somebody who'd like to see Northern Ireland leave the United Kingdom and fuse with the Republic of Ireland. So for the election for leadership was between him and Sir Geoffrey Donaldson. Sir Geoffrey's not a baronet. He was knighted for his service to the public as a politician. So he's been an MP since 1997, formerly, I think, election agent to the late Enoch Poll. So Donaldson wasn't an excellent choice, but of the two, I think Sir Geoffrey was a bit more presentable, had a little bit more nous, was not going to play so badly as everyone else. Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, he comes across as slightly out of his depth, and I mean this in a nice way, childish, whereas Poots is not affable. He's a fairly effectual orator. I saw him speak at the Oxford Union years ago, but I just don't think he's a terribly credible leader. Perhaps I've underestimated him. I'd like to think that I have. So I hope it's not the last nail in the coffin of unionism. And unionism obviously faces some major long-term headaches, because you can be any religious denomination or none, indeed vote unionist. However, certainly until recent times, a high majority of the voted unionists were Protestants. It was fascinating. Just before the Brexit referendum, they did an opinion poll. Something like 60% of Catholics in Northern Ireland want to stay in the UK. That's the astonishing thing. A lot of them would vote SDLP, but they still wanted to remain within the United Kingdom. And another point, even 20% of Sinn Fein voters wanted to stay within the United Kingdom. It was staggering. Now, Brexit has changed that and has really reinvigorated nationalism. And because Irish nationalism, well, I mean, since the 80s really, was very much identified with the European Economic Community, which then metamorphosed into the European Union. So this is a way that we could reunite Ireland stealthily. Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, in a sense, were united because of the decisions are taken in Brussels and Strasbourg. And what else? So we were always overshadowed by our neighbour, which had double our land area, and in recent times 20 times our population. But then we're part of this comity of nations called the European Union. That was sort of an equaliser. And then as Euroscepticism grew in Great Britain, it was another way in Ireland to show that we're like not British and say, well, if they want one thing, we'll want the opposite. And that will really underscore our distinction from that. And plus, there was loads of money that were dishing out the readies like there's no tomorrow in the European Union. And obviously that was a great boon. So we were obviously a Republic of Ireland overrepresented in the European Parliament. Anyway, Poots is a Eurosceptic. He voted for Brexit. Has made life more difficult. So the proportion of people of Protestants in Northern Ireland is declining. The majority of Belfast school children have been Catholic for some years. Now, not all Catholics are going to be nationalists, but unionism really needs to play down the Protestant aspect of it, saying, well, I was open to all, you could be whatever denomination, is not only for Protestants. Obviously, we need to reach out to the Catholic community more and make the union attractive in a completely modern, forward-looking way, and it's not about King Billy. Another point is the loyal orders are very much in decline. The Orange Order, the Apprentice Boys of Delhi, the Royal Purple Arch and the Royal Black Preceptory are not as popular or influential as they once were. I'm not sure if Poots is even a member of those things, but those are off-putting to most Catholics. So Poots survived cancer earlier this year. He was born in 1965, so he's no spring chicken. Anyway, we shall see. Toodaloo.